Hey guys, welcome to my special channel here that I love to conduct interview with doctors that I've been working with and who I see unique in their philosophy, how they practice, and then also their services they provide. And I see these doctors are helping so many patients through their practice. So I invited a special guest, spotlight for one of my colleagues that I've been helping with, Dr. Kristina Janson.
Welcome to the Podiatry Profits Podcast, where you will discover how to get more patients and multiply the profits of your practice with minimally invasive foot surgery, proven marketing systems, and ethical influencing to your patients. And now, your host, board-certified podiatrist, best-selling author, speaker, and founder of TJ On Coaching and Consulting, Dr. TJ On.
Hello, and thank you very much, TJ, Dr. On, for giving me this opportunity to talk today.
Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, kind of yourself, where you practice, how's your upbringing, where are you from, type of thing, so our audience know, more about you.
Okay, yeah, I work in Manhattan, Midtown Manhattan, and I'm a very unusual podiatrist because I make custom-made, handmade orthotics from a plaster of Paris weight-bearing model of a patient's foot. And as far as I know, there's maybe 2 or 3 other podiatrists in the United States that do that kind of work. It's very time consuming. It's a very low volume type of practice because each device takes about 8 hours to make. So I can only help maybe 3 or 4 patients a week.
Oh, wow. So how long have you been practicing?
Well, I graduated in 1989, just to date myself. And then I did a sort of an apprenticeship in orthotics with an old podiatrist back in the early 90s.
Was he your mentor?
Yes, absolutely, because I had done a very high-powered surgical residency, and I did a lot of bunion surgeries and heel spur surgeries. So I saw my future at that time in surgery. Looking back, I'm glad that I had a surgical background because I think it helps me now to see, what different treatments are out there. And then I got a job just for some extra money helping the old podiatrist make orthotics. And the first day I was on the job, he said, "Now listen, I don't like surgery, and we don't want to talk about surgery at all." And I went home and I cried because I thought that was terrible. and then maybe 10 years later, I had decided to give up surgery and just work on the orthotics because every podiatrist did surgery, but nobody was doing this type of work, not in New York. So, and then I remembered crying, and I'm thinking, wow, here I am, 10 years later, I'm doing exactly what the old doctor told me, which was to just work on orthotics and not do surgery.
Nice. So tell me more about your, sounds like that's your niche. I already know because you're my client, but for the audience, how different is this compared to typical conventional way of custom-made orthotics that I'd say 99% of podiatrists in the United States here and probably all over the world, most of them do more conventional method to make custom insoles for their patients. So can you share with us how different, your process is? You said 8 hours. So can you go
Yes, it's radically different. If this were 50 years ago, it would not be different because that's how all the podiatrists used to make their own orthotics. But over time, it was just, when with health insurance plans and whatnot, it just became much more feasible for the podiatrist to hire someone else to make the orthotics. It was just it wasn't practical for the podiatrist to spend an entire day, helping one patient making one pair of orthotics. So they use commercial laboratories and people who just make orthotics for them. So they send a cast or whatnot, and And then the orthotic comes back and the podiatrist dispenses the orthotic. And I would say that works, the majority of the time. That's going to be helpful to the patient, say 80 or 90% of the time even, standard orthotics really work. But that's not my typical patient. My typical patient has had pain for years, and they've had MRIs, and they might have had surgery for their problem, or they've had many pairs of orthotics. That's common. The patient comes in with 2 or 3 pairs of orthotics. Last week I saw 4 new patients, and every single one of them was crying as they told me their story, because as they tell it, they're listening to themselves sort of objectively, realizing what they've been through. So that's a typical patient of mine.
What type of pain are they, come with?
They might have some kind of unusual medical problem. So, for example, I see a lot of scleroderma patients, and that's a condition where the skin and soft tissue becomes hardened with fibrotic tissue or scar tissue over time, and it's a very difficult thing to treat. And scleroderma is very rare. There's maybe 250,000 people in the United States with that disease, but I'll see that once a day or even twice a day in my office, because it's a very difficult thing to treat with orthotics. So I'll see a very unusual medical condition. There's one condition, I call it Janson's foot. It's so unusual, and I see it all the time, and I call it Janson's foot, which I won't go into the details of it, but I'll see that every day, and then go into a medical convention where they show a picture of Janson's foot and say, oh, you'll never see this condition, so let's just skip this slide, So I see very unusual conditions.
So Janson's condition, are you talking about your own condition?
No, I call it Janson's foot because I just see it all the time, and it's, how there's Charcot foot? So these doctors, they name these conditions with their own name. So there's a particular condition that I have called Janson's foot because it's unrecognized in the literature because it's so rare.
Is it you're talking about more foot type or more symptoms that they experience with?
It's a foot type. So it's a foot type, like you would say Pes varus is a foot type, or a diseased foot type like Charcot foot. So, without going into
this is not typical, so that it's kind of hard to do it even with the custom orthotic process conventional way that you have to send the test out, so that, it's hard to categorize, in your opinion, so that when you recognize this, it's kind of huge advantage because you make your own.
Right, and I've seen it so many times before. So another podiatrist would look at it and say, oh my goodness, what is this? So for example, I'm sent patients from podiatrists. Last week I was sent a patient from a podiatrist with bilateral foot drop. So that's a very difficult problem. So I am sent problems from podiatrists. Another time I had a patient sent from a podiatrist who went to a free foot exam, and the doctor said to the patient, look, I don't even know what this condition is. I don't recognize it, but I know this other podiatrist. She's a woman, and she sees a lot of unusual problems, so I'm going to send you to her. And she had something called Marfan's disease, which is that the ligaments are very, very loose. So the foot was dislocated on the ankle. So the podiatrist didn't recognize the problem.
So you're not only seeing typical heel pain or conventional drop foot or flat feet or pronation syndrome, but then you get to see these unusual conditions that most doctors unfortunately fail to treat, these conditions that sometimes these people come to you.
They fail to recognize it only because it's so rare. They just never see it. And my practice is that the patient with the very unusual foot problem will tell their doctor that they received help from me, and then that doctor will, get the word out that other patients could come and see me. So the patients usually come from doctors, and that's why I really appreciate you interviewing me today, because one of my problems is that I have to find these patients. So these patients, like I said, the scleroderma patient, which is, 1 in a million patients, because there's, 200, it's like 1 in a million really. So how do I find these patients? So I have been finding them in the past just through word of mouth. So, and then when I see one of these unusual patients, I always think to myself, wow, it's really lucky that the patient found me, because I take a patient who doesn't walk. They stay at home all day, or they come in with crutches and cam walker boots, and they're really not walking. And then within a month or two, I can get these people walking and happy and, fulfilling their goals. And then I think back and I think, wow, it was almost pure luck that the patient had a friend who had been my patient. So this, you interviewing me is great. And I hope that people see this and can come in, and they've been to other doctors and have had the problem for years and are looking for help. Last week I had a patient come in from San Diego. She flew in just for me to make her orthotics. She has a stiff big toe joint, but she also has an inverted foot. So if you put support around the big toe joint, you'll invert the foot even more. So standard orthotics don't work for a patient like that. And she's a retired nurse. She's very intelligent. It was expensive for her to fly and get a hotel and everything. But it was worth it, because without me making her orthotics, she can't walk.
Wonderful. So those are the conditions. How different now? How do you make it? Kind of give us like 2-3 minute process, so that people who might be watching this, either doctors or potential patients who might be looking for this type of service, they kind of understand what's going through behind the scene, about these handmade orthotics.
Right. And it's 8 hours, but it's not all in a row. Because when I'm with the patient, I have to watch the patient walk and measure the legs and look at the posture of the patient. And then I take a weight-bearing impression of the foot, because I want to see the foot and have a model of the foot as it is with weight on it, as it is walking. So that's really important. And then from that impression, I pour plaster of Paris into it to make a positive foot model. And then the most important part of what I do, and what makes my orthotics different from other orthotics, is that I carve the plaster cast, or I add plaster, or both, to the cast. So I change the shape of the cast to have the foot not be the shape that it is, but the shape that it should be. And that's called intrinsic posting, because that means that the shape is in the body of the orthotic. So I can get a lot of support, but it's very gentle and it doesn't hurt the patient. Versus extrinsic posting, which is putting material on the outside of the cast. And I actually do that too, to some extent, if the patient needs it. But intrinsic posting is really the key to the success of my orthotics.
Okay, and then again, you have your own handmade orthotic lab in your own vicinity.
Yes. And then and that's where I am now. I'm in New Jersey. I'm on the Jersey Shore. So Thursday nights I start pouring my plaster. I have a special humidifier. I have special warming pads for the cast. They have to warm slowly. And I have a special filter that I pour the plaster through. And I have a special plaster pump in my plumbing, because you don't want the plaster to go in the plumbing of the house. So, it's very involved to pour the plaster cast. I need a lot of equipment for that. I also need my stand where I pour. That has to be completely and absolutely level, both right and left and north, south, east, and west. Very level, so that the cast comes out perfect. And then the next day, I start working on the plaster of Paris cast. So I have to alter that. That takes about 3 hours just to alter it, adding plaster and taking away. It's very, very tedious work, adding and, getting the foot to be what it should be. That's a very tedious work. And then it has to dry again after I've wet it from adding or subtracting plaster. So then the next day, which is usually Saturday, is when I start making the shell of the orthotic. And then Sunday, the fourth day, I start grinding the orthotic. I do a rough grind on the orthotic. And then I bring the orthotics to my Manhattan office, and there I start doing the fine grind. And then the patient comes in, and I again grind the orthotic to fit the shoes. So the whole thing probably really takes more than 8 hours if you include the time.
It is. Actually, by listening to this, I'm sure the audience would appreciate this. It's not just 8 hours. I mean, it'll take 4 or 5 days and these expertise getting into this one pair of orthotics that you're putting your effort, time, and expertise into. This is not typical. This is definitely not replicable by majority of podiatrists, and no wonder this is a unique niche that that you provide. And by the way, guys, if you like this interview, I'm talking to many other experts and podiatrists. Make sure you follow my channel. Subscribe to my channel, and so you don't miss out these episodes. But going back to this, we met each other about 2 years ago, maybe maybe 6 months ago, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And your situation was different. So again, I think patients might appreciate this too, but doctors who might be watching this, who can refer patients to you, also might appreciate this. Can you tell us how things were different when you met me like year and a half ago, and how things are now? So I just want to talk about what was going on, that as far as practice wise you were struggling. So I'd like you to share, if you don't mind, how we met each other and then things are changing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, as I've alluded to, my problem was that it's very difficult to find the right kind of patients for me.
Right.
I really didn't know how to do that. And I had really no social media presence or internet presence, not really. And it, you shouldn't be helping people based on pure luck. I mean, that's just ridiculous. That somebody would be lucky to find me. Really, wouldn't it be great if people had a problem and they could go on the internet, even if they were in San Diego, like the patient from last week, and say, at least, I have to fly there and get a hotel, but at least I could be able to walk comfortably and to exercise. So that's where you've really helped me a lot, Dr. An, is because it's really like helping people. You're really helping people, like a community service. And so it's very satisfying, to have that aspect of a practice, is to help people because you have a niche. But I didn't know how to do it. And so you've really helped me with that, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, how things different now? Basically.
Oh, they're very different.
Now that you implement the social media and YouTube channel. You have a YouTube channel.
Yes.
I'm going to put your YouTube channel in the description here, so that people can visit your YouTube channel, learn more about your unique practice.
Yeah,
so,
it's very different now because last 2 weeks ago I got a patient that was just purely from the internet. She was just I don't really even know what she was looking at, but she said, she went on the internet and she was searching, and that's how she found me. And she had been to another doctor. She had a partially torn Achilles tendon, but she really couldn't walk, and she'd had it for quite a while. And she was not satisfied with the treatment she was getting because she wasn't getting better. And she just went online and said, I'm not getting better. What should I do? And then whatever came up, I don't even know what came up, but she looked at it and said, oh, this podiatrist could help me. She helps other people with difficult problems. So that was, so that's one that just came recently, but it's an example of what's happening now compared to before I met you. I wouldn't have had, that person would never have found me
that's great.
Without meeting you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Reason why I'm helping my colleagues in my consulting programs is that they have expertise, they have a heart to help people, but problem is just like what Kristina said, unless you know and implement how to send your messages out to the world, not many people would know how to find you. They don't know how good this doctor is at this certain niche unless you send your messages out. So that a lot of doctors have this, kind of concept, oh, I don't want to do marketing. I don't want to become like a salesperson. But I see it completely differently. Unless we send the messages out there and let people know how good your service could be to your particular medical condition, they'll never find you. So I say, don't be ever shy to, let the world know what you
Yeah.
provide,
Yeah, it's ridiculous to be shy. It makes no sense, really. But doctors, I'm extremely technologically, inexperienced, and I know nothing about technology. So if I hadn't met you, if you hadn't helped me, I would still, have nothing on the internet, basically. I had a website, but it was, we didn't maintain it or anything. I really had no internet presence whatsoever. So, you could be an expert, but it's ridiculous to be like the candle under the bushel, as they say, so no one sees you or no one can find you. It makes no sense.
Correct.
So I really appreciate you helping me.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'd love working with you because everybody's different, just like we're all human beings, and everybody has strength and weakness, and just like Kristina was mentioning. But then my job, and I think what I'm good at, is to see the talent in you, hidden potential in each of us, and then I'm helping them to cultivate and amplify what you're good at already, or you want to help people, but you don't know how to, like how to get their messages out there, how to also help patients accept your treatment plan, right? A lot of times doctors are uncomfortable. They feel very uneasy talking about money, especially non-cover service about insurance plans. And then they don't know, they tend to give up and then offer them less, like second best, third best alternative solutions, because it's easy for doctors to say, oh, just take this treatment then if insurance doesn't cover. That's where it frustrated me that, hey, we're obligated to provide the best treatment solutions for our each patients. But then if you're relying on insurance plan, we're really doing disservice to our patients. And reason why I brought Kristina here is that many doctors in my program, I help them build hybrid concierge model. It's basically kind of perfect balance between insurance plans and cash pay, self-pay model, so that doctors don't have to be forced by insurance plans. But some of my clients, like Kristina, it's pretty much more full-blown concierge model practice that do not participate in insurance plan because, again, they don't want to be forced by insurance covers or not. But their main focus is to niche out, like, hey, this is my niche. Nobody can beat this part. I'm the best. I'm the expert in this particular niche. And then I'm willing to provide the best concierge experience for my patients. So Kristina is one of them. So can you tell me about possibly your philosophy behind that cash pay model?
Oh, well, you hit the nail on the head that you didn't want insurance companies to dictate the treatment plan, which is ridiculous. Because, of course, the goal of the insurance company is to save money. That's it. That's their only goal, saving money. And, if you want good quality anything, if your interest is quality, you're not going to be looking to save money. So... And patients, they want good quality health care. And so as a doctor, you're caught between the two, between the patient wanting good quality care, but the insurance company wants to pay as little as possible or not pay at all. So the best thing to do is to run a very ethical practice, because you outlay to the patient right from the beginning what the cost is of the treatment, and then let the patient decide. And you have to talk to the patient about what the costs are. And like you said, you have to be, it must be easy for you to speak about money. And that's hard for doctors sometimes. And then the other part is, why shouldn't the patient be able to choose what treatment they want? So if they want the best quality, that should be offered to the patient. But a lot of times doctors, they just tell the patient what the insurance company offers, and they don't even talk about other treatment plans. that are not covered by the insurance. So your practice model, TJ, is that you're offering the patient the option of the best possible treatment, and you honestly outlay all the costs up front before, so the patient can decide. Unlike, patients go in network, and then, a month later they get a bill, and, there was a copay and a deductible, and then you find out, that was not covered by insurance. Surprise, right. $2,500 later, you have this bill, outstanding medical bill. And people tell me this all the time. They get these big bills, and they thought that, I went in network. So this is the opposite. This is telling the patient from the beginning what are their options. They have, option 1, 2, 3, and here's the cost. It's very ethical because the patient can decide, before any treatment begins. So that's what I like about working with you, is that you're promoting a very ethical way to practice. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, when you joined me, I still remember we have a long, onboarding one-on-one call when you joined the mastermind. And then again, my mission was to find out what you have a passion in, and then what you're good at, what you're expert at. And then I wanted to dive deeper. How can I help you help more patients by focusing on what you really have a passion in? Of course, you treat, pain conditions with laser and, some other, your unique way of treating. But I noticed that when it comes to orthotics, so remember I called you, this is like a Bentley of handmade orthotics, or like Hermes of orthotics. When it comes to orthotics, who does this handmade orthotics? I haven't met anyone around me.
You told me Gucci. I would be the Gucci.
Gucci. So yeah, I'm not endorsing any particular, branding here, but what I'm saying is that you need that branding. If you really want to be good at one niche, that first of all, you cannot fake it. So you have to be good at it. And then now number 2 is that marketing, you need to send these messages out there. And number 3, you need to learn and, implement how to convey this communication with your patients so you can influence their decision-making so that you can help them accept your treatment solutions, so you can help them. If they don't accept your treatment, then deep down you believe in this particular way of treatment solution is the best. But if you don't know how to communicate the right way, patients, might pass this opportunity, and basically patients will suffer again, So it's almost like our obligation to provide them not only the best solution, but also communicate with them so that they happily accept your treatment, and which I've been seeing now, you're delivering crazy results for your own practice building up, and also helping all these patients and happy patient testimonials. So, this is great. Well, again, we can talk more, but obviously she now has her own YouTube channel, and also if you join her network through her, marketing messages and then her mini websites, you can actually subscribe to her email list so that she sends out, helpful resources like every week that you can learn more about all these conditions, right?
Yes. Yeah. I write a big blog article once a month. And then all the YouTube videos and whatnot that we put out has a theme.
Awesome.
So this is August, so our theme is dehydration.
Dehydration is your theme for
August.
So again, she's definitely outside of box thinker, philosopher, and practitioner with very unique way of practicing. Anything unusual that people would never think about you when it comes to your hobby and passion, would you like to share with the audience?
Something unusual about me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a prankster, so and sometimes I make like a New Year's resolution not to play pranks on people, but so that's one thing, just terrible desire to play pranks on people. But But the patients and I have a lot of fun. I'm also a professional puppeteer. I do work with puppets for children's charities.
That's awesome.
I do that. So I'm obviously crafty because I work with my hands all the time. And I'm very devoted to lifestyle and fitness tips for patients. So that's another passion of mine. And I'm working on my book. So the patients always ask, "When's that book coming out?" So
someday.
one day I'll finish my book. So those are my passions.
Yeah, and then also, guys, if you're a podiatrist watching this, don't try to think that you can do everything alone. Join the community with like-minded colleagues, just like our group. That you can bounce off ideas each other. How else we can help our patients? How else we can grow our practice better? And also, what I see from a lot of colleagues, they're not maximizing their resources around them in their environment. To help them grow their practice. Like Kristina, her husband, he's like tech expert and then like video editor, like media editor. So when I saw that, I'm like, Nick, join here together so that, you can help, this practice to grow more like efficient manner. And he's been helping Kristina tremendously. So I want to kind of shout out to Nick about helping, her practice to grow together. And again, this has been an amazing, fun interview. We meet once a week anyway in our mastermind meeting, and we meet 3 times a year in person. So I always enjoy your company in our meeting, and what's Kristina gonna do, like prank on me this time, So it's always fun. Sometimes we need that. Socialization, and because we're all humans too as a doctor, so not only just helping people, we have the other side of our life, and I want to make sure our colleagues maintain that happiness and passion instead of distressed out and feeling like gloomy and like, D-Day is coming. No, there's always there are patients that we can help. There are always foot problems we can help. And I know, as far as especially podiatrists, we became foot doctor for reasons. And I want to make sure my mission is to kind of remind you that, hey, there are better ways to practice, that you can do what you love doing every day so that you cannot wait to get up until tomorrow so that you can help more patients. Any last comment or statement before we end this interview, Kristina?
I would say, well, working with you, Dr. An, has been really, really great. I really enjoyed it. I really have had a lot of fun. And I know when I first met you, I was so intrigued by what you were telling me that I woke up every day at 5 o'clock in the morning and started reading the material that you told me to read. And it was like I would wake up and it was like Christmas morning, and I'm 5 years old, and I can't wait to go and open up all the presents. So that's how I felt when I first started working with you, and I still feel very excited about about my practice. And wouldn't it be great if everybody felt like that? You wake up and you're 5 years old and you're running to open up your presents. It's
awesome.
Just great. So everyone should be. It adds. It's exciting, and like you said, you feel very motivated by helping people. So it's very satisfying. So it's not just making money and paying the bills and being on the treadmill of your job. Sure. This is something different. This is to be excited to go to work.
Awesome. Oh, this has been so great. So guys, I'm going to put description below in this video, or you might be listening to podcast or watching YouTube, but I'll put Kristina's practice information in the description, her website, her contact info, so you can get to know more about her. If you're a patient and you might be thinking that, maybe Dr. Janson can help me, go make sure, check out the description and then visit her site and then get to know more about her. I'm sure she's, willing to help you no matter what it takes. That's her personality. And just don't forget to subscribe or follow this channel so that you don't miss out any other future episodes. Well, thank you. It's been great, Kristina. And then I'll see you
so
pretty
much.
soon.
Thank you, Dr. An.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Podiatry Profits Podcast with Dr. TJ Ahn. To find out more about Dr. TJ Ahn or discover how you can grow your podiatry practice, visit drtjahn.com. Or you can also get a free copy of Dr. Ahn's best-selling book, Opt Out: How to Take Back Financial Control of Your Private Clinical Practice Without the Hassle of Insurance Companies. Just go to optoutbook.com.